Welcome back. Sunday morning. So I'm going to get my venison sticks ready to go in the smoker. I'm going to load up my trays. I'm going to try to keep some space in between them. One. I have 4 trays for this particular smoker. I don't know if I'm going to get them all on 4 trays or not, but we're going to give it a try. This is a really long one, but I think I can get this one on here. That'll work. I'll have to squeeze them in a little bit when I get out to the smoker. Let me get these ready. All right, I'm going to try to put these in without blocking the camera or the light so much. It's still very light or very dark out. All right, so there's one tray. All right, so that's our 8 pounds. I take my temperature probe here. I'm just going to stick it in one of them. I can maintain the internal temperature, so I know what the internal temperature is. Right now, they're showing 54 degrees, 50, well, that's going down. 50. Well, these are going to be on about 2 hours until the internal temperature reaches 165 degrees. I'll bring you back. All right, I got some apple chips here that I'm going to put in the smoker, in the electric smoker. You load it like this, then you stick it in the side. You turn it 180 degrees, and the chips will drop into the chip basket in the bottom. And very shortly, we'll have some smoke start coming out of the top. All right, everybody, my temperature's up to 167 degrees internally. So my snack sticks are done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my tray. I'm going to remove my temperature probe. I'm going to pull these all out. So here are my beef sticks, my venison snack sticks, beef sticks, whatever you want to call them. These are going to go into the refrigerator to cool down. And then I'm going to pull my racks from the smoker, and I'm going to load them with jerky and start that process.
Okay, so these are venison sticks, Craig, that you've made by taking ground meat and then stuffing it in a sleeve and smoking it with seasoning. Is that right?
Yes.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, these are popular items in my house. Let me tell you what, we go through these just like candy. So I'm looking forward to getting a bunch of these sealed and ready to ship home.
And in my previous video, I'll show you the company that I get it from. I can actually bring it over now. It's readily available online. It's called High Mountain. So this is what you'll get. It has the seasoning, the cure, the casings, everything in this pack. So, and this is the original blend, but they have like 7 different types. So feel free to experiment with it.
Well, I haven't done this before, so I'm going to take a guess here. What I'm going to do, well, I'm thinking this will work out about right. I'll cut it in half.
Okay.
Let me try that, and then we'll go and we'll do it in thirds, right?
Yep.
And so that'll work out just about right, because each of these things is pretty good sized sort of hot dog, which is enough for a nice sandwich or snack, big snack.
Is that the amount you want in one pack?
Well, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll do them.
I'm just going to create a vacuum seal pack here while you're doing that.
So I'll be cutting these to size. But while I got you, it's interesting. A lot of people don't know a lot about white-tailed deer, and I get a lot of questions. I hunt, and when I come out of the woods, I'll run into people, and they want to know everything there is to know about deer. So the first thing I tell them is the best way to do that is go to the Department of Wildlife Resources site here in Virginia, in their section on wildlife and their section on deer, and they have a ton of information, including a management plan for deer that has the history of deer in Virginia going all the way back to before 1900. And once upon a time, there were a lot of deer naturally in Virginia. That's why it is scientifically known as the Virginia white-tailed deer. And unfortunately, when Virginia was settled, the deer were exploited through unregulated market hunting. Their habitat was destroyed through land clearing. Dogs were used to actually run deer and make it easier for them to be killed. And we lost almost all of our deer. Unfortunately, we lost most of our wild turkey and black bears, and we lost all of our mountain lions and all of our wolves. Now, that's the bad news. The good news is that in Virginia, as in every other state in the country, a state wildlife agency was created with the authority to regulate the take of wildlife and to manage the restoration and long-term management of the wildlife for future generations. And so for a century and many, many decades of very, very hard work by biologists and wildlife officers and lots of other people in the Virginia Department of Wildlife Resources, they've been able to restore this deer population, and it today is somewhere between 850,000 and 1 million deer. So that's the good news, but unfortunately, because we eliminated natural predators, the deer need to have some sort of population control, otherwise they'll eat themselves out of house and home, and that's another problem altogether we want to avoid. So the state began to introduce very selective, scientifically controlled recreational hunting as a way of managing deer once the populations had been restored. That practice, I think last year, not quite 200,000 deer, 185,000 were harvested statewide by archery, black powder, and modern firearms. And you can figure that a deer population will grow at least 25% a year. It depends on conditions. And you need to harvest an equal percentage if you can. Some other forms of mortality drop that deer population down, but still you have to rely on hunting predominantly as the method for controlling deer. And as we mentioned, the use of archery as a tool for that has become very important and successful in areas where you can't hunt with guns. And we have a great example of how that program can work with the Fairfax Deer Archery Management Program here. But we'll have a population harvest from this program in Fairfax County of over 1,000 deer a year. And it's really done a great job of bringing that deer population down to safe and sustainable levels where they can be maintained, helping to reduce these deer vehicle collisions, helping to reduce the disease and malnutrition problems that exist in deer, helping to reduce property damage and other problems. And as we've said, providing a wonderful nutritional resource for people that's very healthy. So we're going to seal these guys up just like we did the chops. And we're going to try to put them in some sort of a convenient size. I'm going to guess putting 5 or 6 of them in will be what my wife
Those are already sealed.
wants, and that'll make them ready to go. All right, so we are making headway here. Got a bunch of new bags that we'll put these.
I haven't sealed them yet.
You haven't sealed them yet? All right, well, we'll wait.
You're good.
We'll wait for these. And if you're wondering why this isn't a deer that I harvested, the answer is that I'm spending too much time working and not enough time hunting. So the good news is that some of the other guys have in the program have enough time to get out, and I've got to try to fix that. But it does take some time. It's not like you just walk in the woods and all of a sudden get a deer. You know, you've got to spend some time at it. And the fact that this is a volunteer program is very important because we don't have to pay people to go out and do this, but they really do devote quite a bit of time to going through the whole process of getting prepared for the season and actually going out and going through the hunting process and everything that follows that. Right now we are in early October. The early antlerless season just wrapped up at the end of September. And now bucks are legal, and the hunting pressure will pick up, but also deer movement is starting to pick up because we're approaching that end of October, beginning of November period of the breeding season for deer. It's known as the rut, but we'll see a lot of deer movement then. Unfortunately, that's when a lot of deer get hit by cars crossing roads because they're dispersing and moving during the breeding season, and it's a peak hunting time as well. So we're kind of coming up on that. Basically, from Halloween for the next 2 weeks after that, it was a really, really high movement period for deer. It'll quiet down a little bit after that. A month or so later, it'll pick up again. They'll have a second breeding season. Same thing will happen for another month, and then things will probably get quieter during the winter.
And the good thing about this is once you vacuum seal them, you can freeze these and just get them out at your leisure and eat them. They're going to last for a long, long time. I love to watch it suck the air out of them. It's amazing.
Boy, all I can think about is good German mustard right now. And a piece of rye bread that would go with that. Oof. And then, Craig, what's your idea about once you do get the hide off the deer, you debone it, and you get it ready for what we're doing today, it'll go into the refrigerator for a while. You used to hang them up probably on the farm, but how long can they be refrigerated, and do you know what sort of temperature they have to be kept at before you can then get them
Refrigerated, I would say if it's refrigerated, you're good up to 14 days at least.
2 weeks.
Yeah, because a beef, when they cut a beef, they hang it in a cooler for 14 to 21 days. The same thing we did on the farm. Granted, when we kill a deer on a farm, it was in the winter, it was cold, we'd hang it up in the barn, we'd let it hang for 14, 21 days, and then we'd start to process it. And as everybody knows, with venison, it gets a dark color to it. It gets a skin on top of it. But if you let it hang, it starts to break down the meat. That's why they leave beef hang and pigs and everything else, because the good bacteria actually starts to break down the beef or the meat or the venison or whatever. So that's the good part of it.
So I think I read, like you said, that under a certain temperature, I don't know where it's 38, 40 degrees, but you know, where you keep things refrigerated, you have good bacteria.
Right.
And they break the meat down and help to start to tenderize it, which is why oftentimes folks will hang stuff for a while. But the bad bacteria kick in over that temperature, and they start to create that spoil.
Yeah, you don't want to be over like a 40-degree temperature. Yeah. I mean, you don't want to be in Florida hanging a deer for 14 days. it's just not going to work. Now, if you can put it in a cooler or refrigeration system, you're golden. But
you can get away with hanging a deer overnight
Yeah.
if you need to, but you really need to get it.
but you want to get the hide off.
You want to get the hide off. And then you really want to get the deer deboned, and you want to get it in a refrigerator or some sort of a really cool place. Now, when it gets colder out, you can do that outdoors, but otherwise you want to get it in a cool place. And I'm actually able to debone deer and put them in buckets, and the buckets fit right in the refrigerator, and I can put a whole deer into 2 buckets and put it right in there, and then they'll last.
And I don't know how long this venison has been in your refrigerator, but it's still got the good color. It's still got, there's no bad smell to it. It's very, very good.
12 days.
So, okay.
Now, and the other thing is the venison sticks are red, but that's not because they're raw.
No, this is actually, the casing that I use actually has the red color to it. So the meat that's inside when I put it in is kind of a grayish, reddish color because it's been able to cure. But there's no artificial anything added to this. That's exactly the way that I made them.
And then you smoke them.
Yes. And the smoke, you're going to see the smoke in it too.
So you could thaw these out and eat them raw, or you could reheat them if you want, whatever. And I'm going to guess kids will go crazy eating these things like hot dogs if they get a chance. They're awfully tasty.
The way I eat them is just like this. I take them out of the freezer, unthaw them, I just eat them like a beef stick.
Yeah. Well, how about that? Well, there you have it. Well, hopefully we'll be back at you with another deer or something else fun to do here soon.
All right. Yeah, we can always try other new recipes and new stuff. So,
if I'm lucky enough to get a deer, I'll come back, but I wouldn't guarantee it.
Hey, time will tell.
All right, guys. Take care now.
Thank you.